Uncle Orley here. I think it's about time to toss one out here on YouTube. Subject matter: life change, grieving, the whole life change that I've been involved with over these past couple of years. And I don't know where this is going to head. Don't know or expect if anybody will ever see it or care. But I'm putting it out there. I think the direction that I'll end up taking with this, and it's all going to be free form. I don't have any notes. I don't have any crib sheet. I haven't done any research. This is all off the cuff, and it's all me talking about my life, as you know this channel is all about. It's been 2 years right now when Kathy was in hospice at our home in Florida, where she chose to spend her last days. What an experience. I mean, really, 53 years, a hell of a time. A lot of experiences there, but this one was special. It was more important. And that's because when we sign up for a lifetime with someone, invariably, one of us buries the other one. I suppose there are times where that's not the case, but I'm going with it. I never expected to outlive Kathy. Really expected to be the first one to go. But that wasn't the case. And that's okay. I've come to understand nothing. Really. I mean, all the whys that are out there. But I feel like the period of time that's passed, and I'll get back to the hospice and all the rest of that, but the period of time that's passed since that time period 2 years ago when we grew so close has been time well spent for me. So Kathy chose where in our home, she wanted to spend her last days. It was in the back of the house where she could see out to the woods and the new garden of curcuma that I planted for her. And it was a day-to-day learning experience. Learning about when to stop pushing on the whole food thing. You know, early on, it really felt like the better nutrition that I could provide would be beneficial. Once the doctor told us that was it, time was up. And we had this period of time. He chose 6 months, we got 3. Nutrition turned out to not be as important, mainly because it was really up to Kathy as to whether or not she was going to eat, whether she could even eat. It was all about liquid diet, Ensure, really. And I finally learned my lesson around trying to find food for Kathy to eat during this period when one of the neighbors made some sauce and meatballs. She's not Italian, but I got to tell you, this was some really, really good sauce and fabulous meatballs. Thanks, Eva. I thought, let's give it a try. Forget about a whole meatball. Obviously, we didn't do that. I just broke off a piece that was just a tiny little morsel, not more than a millimeter or two in circumference. Just a tiny little speck, and had a little bit of flavor on it, a little bit of sauce on it. And Kathy ate it, chewed on it, wasn't much there to chew. And I got the sense that the flavor was a good thing. But that was short-lived. She had been telling me that she was having trouble swallowing. I knew all about that. Within 24 hours, she coughed up that tiny little piece of meat. And it was clear that the liquid diet was all there was going to be. So I chilled out with the food, at least for her. And we spent our time talking, reflecting. I have never seen, I don't have any experience in this, so how would I have ever seen? I mean, I watched my mother-in-law go through hospice. We had to make a decision on my mother when she went into a coma. My brother and sister and I, we had to decide when to pull the plug. But this was different. This was my soulmate. And to watch that slow decline was very difficult. A lot of people tell me that I started my grieving process early. I think they're right. I mean, the handwriting was on the wall. We knew from the beginning that this was a terminal disease. We got 3.5 unbelievably healthy years with the drugs that had been developed for this disease. EGFR plus mutation, epithelial growth factor, was the diagnosis, and Tagrisso and Gilitrif were the first and second drugs that she was on. And boy, that period of time, we just lived life the way we always had. And through that whole period, that whole 4 years, because it was literally 4 years, not to the day, but very close, from diagnosis to when Kathy passed, just over 4 years. We didn't plan what we were going to do. We'd spent our lives living in the moment. We kept living in the moment. We went out and bought an RV. And we traveled, continued to travel. That RV didn't fit the bill. in terms of the layout, and it was actually worth more money than we paid for it, even after having it a year or two. So we sold it, we bought another one, and we kept traveling. We had the dogs. In those two RVs, we spent 75,000 miles, 75,000 miles traveling. And it was wonderful. Every moment of travel with Kathy was wonderful. She was the best partner to travel with. And everything else. So we're in this period 4 years from now. It's end of January, 26, and we still had not spent any time talking about, okay, it's coming. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? We were very pragmatic about it. Nate was over one day, and we looked at each other, and I looked at Kathy, and I said, Nate, come on, we're going down to the cemetery. We gotta pull all that together. And we did. Lorraine, of course, Kathy's eldest sister, second in line of the 6 Jennings children. She spent, she says it was 4 weeks. I feel like it was longer, but what a godsend. She spent time with us, being as close to Kathy as she was. And we got very close during that period of time as well. But we still, Kathy and I, hadn't made plans, and we're just living out that period of time the best we could. I have lots of stories, and maybe I'll share some of those later, but that period finally came to an end, March 24, 2024. And there's a story that goes with it, but Kathy died in my arms at 1:30 in the morning. 1:31 actually. It was. I'm a sick turkey. I looked at my watch and I took a picture of my watch the moment it happened. She was at peace. I don't remember through this process, other than the pain she went through from the whole brain radiation and the after effects of that, which turned out to be a complete waste of resources and a cause of really the only significant pain that she went through in the end. She was so graceful, so prepared, so convinced that the next life was waiting for her, and what was waiting for her. What a model. What a model for us of dignity and all those wonderful qualities. So, the grieving started early for me, and it ramped up very quickly after her passing. I also believe in an afterlife, and I think there are connections that different people have that allow for, I don't know, visits and dreams and what have you, from folks that have passed. Kathy's sister Betty, next oldest in line, number 3 of the 6. Kathy was number 4. We talked the next day, and Kathy had visited her, I believe it was in a dream, and told her that she had reached a higher plane and that she was not returning. I think Betty probably took that as a karma kind of a thing, but I took it as Baha'i-like talk or statement, as one could muster. And it really got me to thinking that if we really do reach a plane of existence based on the work we do here and the spirituality that we gain as we feed our spirit, and our spirit grows and prepares for the next life, the next world. I believe that she was very prepared, and she did reach a higher level. What concerns me is how many eons it's going to take for me to get to that level in the afterlife so we can be together. None of us really know. I'm not overly concerned about it, but clearly her spirit and mine are on different levels. At any rate, the grieving process really ramped up during the early months. I had made a decision, Kathy was well aware of this, that I was not staying in Florida. I was not keeping our home and all of our belongings. I needed to reboot my life. And for me, the template was set as a youngster. When I was 17, when Rick and John and I took our infamous trip, 9,000 miles in 3 weeks in a 68 Dodge van, my van, where we discovered all the places that have become so much a part of my life. I mean, from the Tetons in Yellowstone to Oak Creek Canyon in Sedona, and the coast, oh my God, from LA all the way to San Francisco, or to not only San Francisco, but all the way to Seattle. Muir Woods. The list is so long, I can't even remember half of it. What a trip. But then, of course, I understood that I have the wanderlust. So does my sister Loretta. My brother Vince never got it. At any rate, after I got out of college, Kathy and I put our relationship, our engagement on pause. And I went west in my 68 Dodge van. Carpet samples on the wall, insulation behind the carpet samples, little pump sink and drain and fresh water, and my Coleman stove, and this crappy little Coleman heater. And we spent 74, 75 traveling out west. boy, that's a whole series of videos that's going to come down the pike somewhere down the line. But that is the template that I had that led me to the decision to go on a journey. I'm going to pause right now because my grandkids just came home and Mo's not on a leash. I'll be back.